What it is, YouTube, it's your boy Troy, and I know hoops, man. And we finally back. And now we gotta talk about playoff basketball, bro. Playoff basketball starts on Saturday, and I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Unfortunately, my Clippers won't be in there. It's probably for the best anyway. But unfortunately, my Clippers ain't gonna be in there. So I get to watch every other team and enjoy every other team's game and not have to worry about us. And I appreciate that. A stress-free playoffs, bro. Your team not in there, so you really don't gotta worry about nothing. It's like a dream. It's like a dream, man. Unfortunately, we don't have the championships to even like consider that a dream, but it is what it is. So we going to talk about the Eastern Conference, and honestly, bro, the Eastern Conference quieted down all the noise, bro. The Eastern Conference has actually been very disappointing. Barring the injuries of Tatum and then Halliburton, a lot of teams were actually like supposed to come across this finish line, right, with all the people getting hurt and whatnot. But the Eastern Conference has been pretty entertaining this year. I'm not gonna lie, man. You had some new faces this year. You have some exciting faces this year, and honestly, I can't wait to even watch the Eastern Conference playoffs, man. I think it's gonna be very entertaining. So we're going to talk about each playoff series, and we're going to talk about the teams for a little bit and then get into the matchup. First of all, if you want to see more content like this, you can subscribe to my channel and like the video so that way I can drop more videos and you can see me talk hoops even more. So, yeah. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right. So we're going to start off with this playing game that's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to be Hornets and Magic. First of all, shout out to the Hornets, man. Charlotte has been having a very good year in terms of professional sports. The Carolina Panthers had their first playoff game in like 10 years. Shout out Carolina. They had their first playoff game in like 10 years, and they lost to the Rams, but it was a very entertaining game. And right now, the Hornets, bro, the Hornets rebuild kind of came a little quicker than I thought. I ain't gonna lie. It started out with the drafting Con Knipple. And, they drafted Brandon Miller like last year or the year before that. I'm not too sure. I think it was last year, though. But they started to build a solid team, a solid young team at that. I don't think anybody expected Con Knipple to do what he's doing. I didn't expect it, and I'm a Duke fan. I thought at most Con Knipple was going to be like an Austin Reeves-esque type of player. But, shit, he might be better than Austin Reeves. I don't even know. But, shit, man, I mean, the Hornets, bro, their roster is so well constructed. You got LaMelo Ball, who finally played a really good, healthy season. You kind of wanted to see that because LaMelo's injury history with his ankle has obviously been a sign of, the team not really reaching its ceiling of what it could be. So LaMelo playing a full, healthy season is very good for them. He actually gravitated around Khan really well and Brandon Miller. Miles Bridges was also eating. Shout out Musa Diabate, former Clipper. He would have been very needed this year, but that's neither here nor there. Musa Diabate has actually been a very good improvement for the Hornets. My guy comes in, protects the rim, rebounds, can play offense. You know what I'm saying? Very good center, very good young center to have on a young team, obviously. So they go up against the Magic, who lost to the Sixers in a very uninteresting playoff game. I'm gonna keep it a bean. I got Hornets winning this. First of all, let's talk about that Hornets and Heat game for a minute. Amazing game. Home atmosphere in Charlotte was crazy. LaMelo emptied the clip. I think he had like 31 shot attempts, but he had like 30 or something like that. I'm gonna keep it a bean. I don't mind my star player going out there and emptying the clip in the must-win game, whether you win or go home. So I didn't mind that. Con Knipple actually had a horrible game that game, but Brandon Miller stepped up. Miles Bridges stepped up. Damn, who else stepped up? That I'm forgetting somebody. It was pretty. Kobe White. How could I forget about Kobe White hitting a crazy game time 3 to take it into OT? The Heat played pretty well considering their circumstances. Bam got hurt after Melo tripped him, and it looked like he hurt his back or his tailbone, honestly. And he had to exit the game, so they played the rest of the second half without him. Tyler Hero showed up. Andrew Wiggins, shout out Andrew Wiggins. He had like 27 points. Andrew Wiggins was hooping. Kella Ware was hooping. He's going to be in some interesting trade talks going forward. I don't think they keep him alongside Bam because that's just how the Heat is. The Heat don't really do shit that makes sense. But the Heat play hard, but Hornets home atmosphere just got to him. LaMelo was hitting some crazy shots. He had a crazy game sealing layup, and then last possession, Davion Mitchell got it, and the Heat didn't call a timeout for whatever reason. Davion Mitchell got blocked at the rim by Miles Bridges, and that sealed the game in a crazy playing game. This is what the playing is all about, bro. Two teams that want to obviously get in the playoffs, bro, and they want to have that last game to really show that they really care. You can tell these two teams cared, and that was a great game. Now we can talk about the Sixers and Magic game, bro. I'm gonna be honest. It's hard as a Duke fan to see the shit that Paolo doing. I'm not gonna lie. Paolo has been really disappointing this season. He's not playing how he should. Franz had a terrible game against the Sixers. Anthony Black did pretty good. Desmond Bane had like 30, which was kind of unexpected for me. But you would expect that if you're a Magic fan, if you trade 3 first-round picks for the nigga. So you would think that he should be able to hoop and get shit done. But it just wasn't enough for the Sixers. The Sixers are just a well-constructed team, and we're honestly the better team. Both teams deserve to lose that game, to be honest, if you leave it up to me. But Maxey was going crazy. VJ had a great game. Andre Drummond was hitting corner threes. Fairs, it's nothing you can do about that. But so Magic and Hornets, I think the Hornets are going to win this one. The Magic just don't really have enough to compete with the Hornets, especially if Paolo's going to play like shit again. And then you had Franz also playing like trash. Their lineups are also not good compared to the Hornets. The Hornets have a good amount of lineups that can compete with the Magic and get stuff done. They also have more offensive firepower. And I think the Hornets end up going against the Pistons in round 1, man. The Magic, I don't know what they do from there. But if I'm wrong, shit, I'm wrong. But I just don't see the Magic winning that game. So, speaking of, we were just talking about the Sixers. Let's talk about Celtics versus Sixers. The Celtics were actually one of the most surprising teams in the league, man, finishing 56-26, second seed. A lot of guys thought that they weren't going to be as good due to the fact that Jason Tatum was gone. They lost Porzingis. And honestly, the roster just didn't really look good without Tatum there. Like, Tatum was like the guy that, like, you would see him on the roster and then see the rest of the team. You know, you got Jaylen Brown, obviously, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard. The rest of the guys are fucking, you don't even know. Keita's been playing really solid. So, shout out Keita. I forgot his first name. But he's been really solid. But the Celtics have proved that they're just a good team. Joe Mazzulla is a great fucking coach. The dude's a maniac. If you ever seen his interviews, dude's insane. But I love that as a head coach. I'm not going to lie. And Jason Tatum came back, and he's been pretty solid, shooting up around like 20 shots a game. He came back way better than I expected. I thought it was going to be a little slow for him coming back. And I thought it was a little rushed that he came back, honestly. But you can't blame him. Even DeJounte Murray came back from an Achilles injury. Sad that Halliburton didn't come back for the Achilles injury, but he got injured way later on than Tatum and DeJounte, so it's like a whatever. And then plus the Pacers weren't doing shit anyway, so hopefully Hallie comes back pretty healthy next year. But back to the Sixers and Celtics, man. This is the historic rivalry, bro. It really isn't even a rivalry for real because the Celtics always win the playoff series against the Sixers, man. And honestly, I don't see that changing this year. Paul George has been snapping for a good amount of games for the Sixers recently. He was on a 25-game suspension, so he had a good amount of rest to really get his shit off and really train and all that stuff to get his body right for the postseason. I do think Maxey will have a good series. I think VJ's coming out party is going to be really good against the Celtics. But all in all, the Celtics always get the best of the Sixers, man. It's not that I'm just taking history in terms of this matchup, but I'm also taking the experience that the Celtics have and also just the all-around sheer better players that the Celtics have. Jaylen Brown has been on an absolute tear this whole season. Shout out Jaylen Brown. I actually didn't really believe in him. I'm not going to lie, but dude's been putting in all-NBA work this past season, man. You obviously also have contributing players like Peyton Pritchard and Derek White. So, whereas the Sixers don't really have that many good contributing players. So I got the Celtics winning this in like 5 or at the most maybe 6, man. I think Maxey and then, Paul George Magnet Ball could probably give him a game, but like I just don't really see the Celtics giving up this series, and I really don't even see it going to 7 without Embiid. If they had Embiid, this series would have been way more interesting, bro. Like I just said, how Tatum can make a roster look good. I think Embiid can make a roster look good, and this roster isn't even bad. It just doesn't have Embiid. So with that being said, I got the Celtics in 5 in this one, honestly. Now let's talk about Knicks versus Hawks. Hawks finished the season 6th seed. They finally got out of that play-in propaganda in the East that they always had. It was always the Bulls, Atlanta, Magic, and then the Heat. You know what I'm saying? And like it changed this time around. The Hawks are the 6th seed, and a lot of people thought that the Hawks were cooked after they traded Trae Young. Trae Young obviously wasn't even playing that much, but the resurgence of Jalen Johnson and just seeing how the team was constructed around Jalen Johnson's tenure this season, it really goes to show, like, I'm not going to say Trae was the problem, but he wasn't the solution either. So obviously a nice little retool had to be done with that roster. They ended up getting like Jonathan Kuminga as well, which was a really solid role-playing piece for them. And with the addition of Nickeil Alexander-Walker in the offseason, he's been really good. He'll have his games where he'll struggle a little bit, but he's young. He'll get better. And he's also Shea's cousin. That's kind of glazing. I shouldn't have said that. But with all that being said, Knicks in like 6 or Knicks in 5. Knicks just have a better constructed team. And they also have that experience that the Hawks don't. Now, one could say, oh, yeah, well, OKC didn't have that much experience and they went far in the playoffs. True. But the Hawks don't have a Shea. The Hawks don't have a Chet. The Hawks don't have a Jalen Williams. And the Hawks also don't have a head coach like the OKC Thunder does. So while I do give Atlanta their props for finishing how they finished, man, and they also, crazy enough, Atlanta also has a lottery pick because the Pelicans traded it for DeJounte Murray from Atlanta. And I guess the Pelicans thought they were going to be nice, and they weren't. So now the Hawks have a crazy odd of getting a crazy lottery pick, which is crazy. So they can add on to this young team even more. I'm pretty excited to see what the Hawks can do. Honestly, Atlanta's just a good major city. Well, not even major, but like it's a good market city all around in terms of like culture and rap and things like that. So seeing an Atlanta team being actually nice and being in the playoffs is going to be pretty popped. I'm not going to lie. But with all that, though, Knicks in 5. Knicks in 5. Like, Knicks have a better... They have a better point guard. They have a better shooting guard. They have a better small forward. They have a better power forward. They have a better center. So, with all that being said, I just don't really see the Hawks really getting more than the game out of the Knicks. I'm not going to lie. And then you also had the Knicks hometown crowd, and with that being said, the Hawks also don't really got Trae Young to bail them out against the Knicks. Now, if the Hawks do win the series, I'm going to keep it a bean. That's probably the only upside I really see this whole playoffs for real, honestly. I'm not going to lie because a lot of these teams in the playoffs, I don't really see making that much noise in the first round or like upsetting or like beating a major team. Like I just don't really see it this year, but I really do like the chances of the Hawks. I'm not going to lie. You know what? I actually lied. I do see an upset, and it's going to be in the East, and I'm going to talk about that a little later. But yeah, Knicks in 5. Next series we're going to talk about is the Cavs versus Raptors. Cavs made a strong trade for James Harden. Darius Garland got shipped off to the Clippers. And James Harden's actually been pretty solid. Granted, when James Harden on your team, your big man obviously gets a jump in production. We're seeing it with Evan Mobley, and we also saw a little bit with Jared Allen as well. I also think Harden just kind of fits the Cavs more than Darius Garland did, just because Garland was also a small guard. D-Mitch is a small guard, so it was like that couldn't really work. Whereas James Harden's 6'5", he can see stuff more, and James Harden also has that playmaking experience. And playoff experience, whether you can argue it's good or bad. James Harden has playoff experience, and Donovan Mitchell is pretty much a known playoff riser. So how the Cavs are constructed, it's pretty good offensively. I'm not going to lie. Defensively, they're going to have their lapses, and it's actually pretty bad. But the Cavs had a pretty solid year, all things considered, with the trade. They move on from Garland and get Harden with the addition in, and D-Mitch has been having a pretty productive season. That kind of comes with the Harden territory, though, like I said. Not only with big men, but just like if you're a scorer in general, you're going to have a good season with Harden nonetheless. And then we can get on to the Raptors, man. The Raptors were pretty surprising, honestly. Brandon Ingram was pretty good after getting traded last year here. He was injured, so he couldn't really play last year, but he played his first full season with the Raptors. And he showed really good flashes, man. He showed really good flashes of being a great young piece for them. Scotty Barnes, obviously. You have your utility guys, but you also have your star utility guys. Scotty Barnes' stats give utility guy, but he is the star for the team and whatnot. They also got Emmanuel Quickly in there, Jakob Poeltl, RJ Barrett has his good flashes and whatnot. But I see the Cavs coming out here in like 6. I think the Raptors' atmosphere in Toronto is going to give them a game just off the strength of a home game. But I don't think Harden's lapses are going to show this early in the playoffs, especially considering that the Raptors don't really got nobody that can guard Mitch or Harden. I guess you can give it to RJ Barrett, but like I don't really see that making a difference. But I really do like what I'm seeing here in this. I think it's going to be a good series, though. I just don't really expect the Raptors to really compete like that. I think Brandon Ingram will really have to like will them just with his scoring off alone. And Brandon Ingram has some playoff experience, but it was with a bad team. This team is way better than what the Pelicans are. So I think this really all comes down to who Brandon Ingram really wants to be in the series. And it also just comes down to how quick Donovan Mitchell can go off. I think Donovan might even fucking around average like 28 to 30 points in this series. I'm not going to lie. I really don't really see anybody guarding D Mitch like this in this playoff series, man. So with that being said, and then also like the Cavs are just too big, man. They have too much power in the paint. And while the Raptors do have the wings, Harden has been around wings for years. He's going up against wings for years. So Harden can maneuver around all that, honestly. And I definitely think that the Cavs are going to get out of there in like 6, maybe. Now, we got the upset that I think is going to happen. We got Pistons, and this is just my prediction. I'm getting Pistons and Hornets. I think the Hornets are going to beat the Magic in that playing game. And I think the Hornets are actually going to win this. I think the Hornets are going to win this. I think, low-key, that the Pistons were, I'm not going to say they were a fake 1 seed, but like you could kind of see through them a little bit. The gravity is surely just off Cade, and Cade being an amazing player. But Cade did get hurt. He missed a couple games. Thankfully, he will make that 65-game rule or whatever, where he'll get like all NBA recognition and stuff like that. So it was good to see. Jalen Duren's actually a very good center. They have okay surrounding pieces, but offensively, I just don't think they have enough to compete with the Hornets. Now, defensively, they're pretty good, so that might be trouble for the Hornets. And then also, like, both teams are kind of inexperienced in the playoffs. I think the Hornets did have one playoff series. The Pistons were in the playoffs, obviously, last year, but the experience really all isn't there for them. The Pistons have a better coach. Shout out JB Bickerstaff, but like, I just don't really see a world where like this is going to end in a sweep or it's not going to be a close game. I really don't think that. I think this is going to be probably the best series if I'm being truthful. If anything, this might go 7 or 6, and I don't really see why the Hornets wouldn't win the series. I'm gonna be honest with you, I really don't. LaMelo Ball been on another planet, so is Cade, but like after Cade and Jalen Duren, it's like, who the fuck do you have? Asura Thompson is nice, but I see Brandon Miller taking full advantage of that matchup. And if it's not Brandon Miller, it's going to be Khan. If it's not Khan, it's going to be Miles Bridges. If it's not Miles Bridges, it's going to be Kobe off the bench. They just have too many good offensive pieces. And honestly, like the Pistons, it's honestly going to come down to Cade. It's obviously going to come down to Cade and how much Cade's gravity can will this Pistons into another playoff series, bro. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm gonna keep it. I've been saying this all video. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But this is an opinion I really feel strongly about. I think the Hornets can get this shit done. Now, obviously I gotta look at it from another point of view. If the Magic beat the Hornets and they go on to play the Pistons winning that shit in 5. Paolo, like 2 seasons ago or maybe a season ago, was really good against the Celtics. They were really good defensively in the playoffs, and Paolo was doing whatever he wanted to them. But you also got Desmond Bane. That's some good playoff experience or whatnot. Franz Wagner is pretty good, but I don't see them going up against the Pistons. Like I said, offensively, the Hornets are better than both these teams. I'm not going to lie. And with the magnitude of LaMelo and just him having good complementary pieces like Brandon Miller and Miles and Khan and Kobe and then even Moussa Diabate at the rim, it's just like I don't really see a world where the Pistons win this unscathed. And that also will kind of even go into the next round of the playoffs where they either play the Cavs or the Raptors. Now, I can obviously see them being the Raptors, but not the Cavs, bro. I think the Cavs get past the Pistons, honestly. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and Cade might be the best player on the planet by then. So it is what it is. But so I have Pistons. I didn't even come up with a prediction. If the Pistons win, it's going to be in 7. If the Hornets win, it's going to be in 6. I think that home atmosphere that the Hornets have is really good. So I think that home atmosphere is low-key going to get to the Pistons. So yeah, if the Pistons win, it's going to be in 6. I mean, in 7. If the Hornets win, it's going to be in 6. Cavs, I got the Cavs winning in 6, maybe 5. I really don't really see the Raptors really making a dent in this Cavs team. But this might be a surprise series. This might even fuck around go to 6 or 7, honestly. But I see the Cavs winning in like 5. Knicks, I see them winning in 5. This could also be a series that could probably go 7 games, just considering who the Knicks are, bro. But it's like, I don't see it. I don't see it. The Hawks are young. They might need one more season before we really start getting them into them talks of like beating a good team and whatnot. But I just don't see it. I don't see it. I think the Knicks come out of there pretty comfortably. I'm not gonna lie. And then the Celtics, I got them winning in 5. I don't think anybody's gonna get swept really. If any team's gonna get swept, it's probably gonna be the Sixers. Just because they really can't fuck with Boston on a rivalry spectrum, and then just also on the better players to. The Sixers can definitely steal a game. They might fuck around and get a game in Boston. They've done it before. So them going to 6 wouldn't be surprising. But I got Boston winning in 5, man. And that's my Eastern Conference predictions, man. Yeah, so hypothetically speaking, if everything goes as planned, it's going to be either Pistons or Hornets going against the Cavs, and then Knicks and Celtics in the next round. And that's cool. That's cool little playoff series. Like I said, I think the Eastern Conference playoff series is going to be very entertaining. Man, we just gotta see, man. You know, it's playoff basketball. You never really know what happens, man. So, yeah, man. So if you liked this video right here, please like, share, subscribe, all that, and I will catch you in the next one.